All right. So it's not always your fault. I get it. But it might be useful to view it that way. What is going on? How is everybody doing today? Welcome to the Risen Fallen podcast, where I am your host, Mark Henriksen. And if you're brand new to this show, then what you can expect is open and authentic conversations about things like mental health and self-development and how to get your life moving in the right direction if you're not feeling good about where you are right now. And on that note, happy Thursday. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm feeling pretty good right now, and we are rocking and rolling. And so I just wanted to come on here to talk a little bit about a topic today that I've struggled with in the past, and I'm sure that many other people have thought about this topic or concept, or, I think I've even addressed it on this podcast before, but I thought I'd jump into it today. And so a lot of us, when we start this idea, this journey of self-development and mental health, a lot of us, especially as young men, we start to look up. We think, I don't want to be this person anymore. I want to be a new person. So we start to emulate. We find role models. We find people that we like and aspire to be, and, people that get us fired up and inspire us and make us feel good. And we want to be more like them so we can kind of pass that torch on and help other people feel good as well. And I think that a lot of us, we tend to, drift towards more people that we view as good people. A lot of the people that I looked up to, and when I started this journey of wanting to improve the way that I thought and the way that I felt, I looked up to a lot of men like, David Goggins, Jocko Willink, tons of other, and half my role models were anime characters, and then obviously it's not always military guys. Sometimes it's more, intellectual people or authors, people like Ryan Holiday who dive into stoicism, or different philosophers, or, I'm sure that I don't really have to describe it for too long. I'm sure that many of you guys have your own role models, and maybe they, coincide or align with a lot of my role models, whatever it could be. But I think that the theme or the idea that I'm trying to get across is we all tend to go towards our role models, our who we look up to. And for me, that was like a lot of the people that seem to have discipline and seem to have things taken care of and have order to their lives, because I was a very undisciplined person and I didn't have a lot of order in my life. And so people that were speaking about accountability and responsibility and work and hard work and discipline and all of these virtues that I saw that I wanted to have in my life, I wanted to be more like them. I wanted to absorb their message. And so a lot of these messages, the reason I think that one of the things that I think that they all have in common is to have this idea of responsibility and accountability for your behaviors and for your actions. A lot of the times we hear these ideas of like, it takes two to tango. Or one thing that I've always said is like, if you have the same problem with multiple people, you're probably part of the problem. Like, that's just the way I view it. If you have this issue where you can't stop getting into arguments with everybody in your life, you're probably a little bit too argumentative, and there's something behind that. And there's this idea of like, I think that a lot of us drift towards or go towards is this idea of accountability, or taking responsibility for our behaviors, for our actions, for our feelings, for our emotions, for our reactions to those things. And I think that a lot of the time what happens is we go down this pendulum swing of a road where we start off and we're in this victim mindset, this victim mentality of like, none of this is my fault. There's nothing I can do to change it because I had nothing to do with the making of these problems. And you can kind of see where that lands you, which is basically just like a hopeless hellhole where you just like sad and depressed all the fucking time and there's no way to get out of it. And then if you swing to the opposite, the complete opposite end of that spectrum, where it's complete extreme accountability and ownership of every single issue and problem in your life, where you start to think like, okay, I caused all of these issues, and so that means that I have the power to fix all of them as well. But that also leads you philosophically to be like, okay, well, I also was the person that caused all these problems, and I'm not a malicious person, so obviously they might have happened by accident. And so I might, because I landed myself here, how am I able to solve it? Like it's kind of like it becomes this like, okay, if I take accountability and ownership for every single issue in my life, well, then it's like, okay, I kind of feel like I'm a fool. Like I feel like it's like I kind of just like feel like a fuck up because there's all these problems. And if they're all my fault, then it's like, who am I to fix them? And I think that both are kind of, they can be poisonous or quote unquote, I hate using this fucking word, but toxic. It can be toxic to your brain in some certain ways. You can use that as a form of like martyrdom of like, oh, woe is me. Like I'm the one responsible for all of these problems. And so like, I can't fix it because I'm so problematic that me trying to fix things led us to where we are now, which is where all the problems are. And so like, I'm responsible for everything bad. And it's not like I try to do them. And so maybe I should just not try to do anything. Like, it's like, it almost lands you in the exact same position. It's like, almost as if like it's not like two ends of the spectrum. It's like kind of like a full circle. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of the time that it takes this deep understanding of like, okay, I might not be the cause of all of the issues in my life, but it's probably more beneficial for me to just understand and absorb like, okay, I probably had some contribution to this problem, and there might be a way that I can make it like 1% better or 2% better today, and just know that I'm going to make mistakes, and I could probably fix this. I can probably at least improve the situation. You know what I mean? Like understanding, like it's just understanding that you might not be the cause of all of your problems. You might not be the cause of every issue that you have in your work life or your relationship or anything like that. And I think that to absorb 100% accountability and ownership for issues because it takes two to tango is a little bit unfair to yourself. But that being said, I think that at the end of the day, all we can do is control what we can control. And so if you think about every variable that you can control, I'm sure you've always got room for improvement. And so even though all of these issues are not 100% your fault, there's probably still something that you could improve on or do better that would elicit a better result in the future. And so the idea of accepting responsibility and accountability and ownership for all of these issues in your life isn't to just beat up on yourself or to use as a way to create an excuse for yourself to not do the right thing. It's to empower you and to help you understand that no matter what your situation is in life, you probably could learn from how you could act better from the past mistakes. Like, yeah, I probably do have some influence on how this went wrong, and I can learn from that so I can not repeat the mistakes in the future. But also understanding, like, if I have enough influence and power to make something worse, then I probably have enough influence and power to make something better as well. And so even though I might not have caused this situation altogether, I might have contributed it to ending worse off than it would have had I had not made mistakes. And it's possible for me to make mistakes because I'm a flawed person. I'm not perfect. And all of these kind of admissions and understandings to yourself and making sure that you're not making these false agreements with yourself of like going down the road of thinking, everything I do is wrong, everything I do, because all my problems are my fault and I never had the intentions of creating them. And so maybe by trying to fix them, I'll make it worse. And so I just shouldn't try anything altogether. It's kind of like this, like, just submission into giving up and feeling hopeless and sad and depressed. And I think that whether you subscribe to to this idea that either you have no influence in your problems or you have 100% ownership and you create every issue, I think that going to either extreme gives you the exact same result, which is like the feeling of hopelessness and the feeling of like not being good enough and the feeling of like, oh, I'll never make the right decision. Whereas the answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. And it's like, the truth is you probably aren't the cause of all of your problems every single time in your life, but it's probably more helpful to view it that way because of how you could then manipulate the future and the solution, or influence it, or bring it to manifest, or to just cause it. And it's probably more useful to view it that way, even though it's not the truth, and so you can't take it to heart. It's to view that as a tool to use to get yourself into a position to then improve the situation. And so on that note, I think in summary, all I'm trying to say is that, you might not be the cause 100% of the time of all of your life's problems, but it probably is more beneficial to view it that way and not take it to heart as if you're a fuck up or as if you can't do anything right, but to take it that way because that means that you have so much influence and so much control of a lot of these aspects in your life that you can control what you can control and do your best efforts to make the future better. And it's supposed to be, when we're talking about accountability and ownership and responsibility in your life, these are supposed to be empowering things that make you feel like, okay, I have, the ownership of everything that I can control. It's supposed to be an empowering thing and to show you the scope of what's actually within your control. You hear about all these different things like you don't control the world, you just control how you react to it. And we all agree with that. But then when it comes time to, taking accountability and taking responsibility for a lot of the things in our lives, we blame ourselves for a lot of the things that are outside of our control. The way that, we blame ourselves for, sometimes how our partners feel when we're in a relationship, or how our coworkers feel when we're at work, or, we blame ourselves for how they feel, which is then basically saying that you have control over something that is not in your control, which is someone else's feelings. But then when it comes time to take accountability for our own things, like our reactions to things or our behaviors or our actions, then we try and place the blame on that, it's completely reversed. It's completely backwards. And, I think that, like I said before, I think that utilizing the tool of viewing the world as though you are the cause of these problems that you face in your life gives you the ability to then reclaim control over what's within your control, and it relinquishes you of the responsibility of trying to control things that are not within your control, like other people's emotions and other people's feelings and other people's actions and other people's behaviors. It relinquishes you of having to try and control that. And so on that note, I think that that's a beautiful place to wrap this up, because I don't think that there's any better way I can try and explain or even think about this topic. I think that's the most refined I can get that idea for today. And so on that note, I will re-listen to this and write about it and think about it a little bit more. And I encourage you guys to let me know what you think about it. Let me know, write a little comment if you're watching this, the video version of this, or leave a little review, rate it 5 stars or however many stars you think this should be. And let me know in a review what you think, or reach out to me on Instagram at RisenFallen. And, share this with a friend if you think that it was interesting or thought-provoking or funny or entertaining or whatever it could be. And so on that note, happy Thursday. I hope you guys have a good end of your week. Have a good weekend. And I will check in with you on Monday. Much love and peace out, you beautiful fucking human beings. I love you all. Bye.